Aho, relatives, friends, and family. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Um, First time doing Facebook here. First of all, I want to say thank you all for joining us here, being a part of this, sharing your personal stories here. It's been a while since I've really done this type of interview. Um, Okay, I got two people, three people now. Let me give at least a few minutes for some people to come on. Um, Hopefully, we'll be able to get at least a few more coming in live. Um, First and foremost, I'm outside enjoying the time and setting here, and just really trying to resonate in this time. Being that nature does bring me a lot of good healing and a lot of good things in my life. I prefer to be outside rather than inside. I know we were talking about trying to be comfortable in our living room, but in this situation I choose to be more of in tune with nature, if that makes any sense. Also, just being able to connect with Mother Earth as well, and all the good things like that. So we got one more that came in. Just wanted to say good evening from San Diego, California. My name is Ivan Sam. I'm full blood Dene, and I come from the Navajo Nation. A little, I guess I shouldn't say little. It's one of the biggest tribes in North America. Um, so today I just want to share my story um, about awakening the warrior spirit. Just being able to um, feed off the energy, being able to share my story of what had happened within the past couple of years. Um, During the time, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movement of Standing Rock, the Water is Life movement. I know it happened a couple of years ago, but even to this day, there's a lot of things going on with that movement. But in the process of this movement, I was able to have a deep spiritual awakening. There was a vision that came to me in my dream, and this was the night of when they were shooting the water cannons and targeting the native people that were standing on the front lines. They were targeting their grown areas, their heads. They were shooting with frozen rubber bullets and stuff like that. It was really a very, very emotional, touching time, just watching something like that, because it really hit close to home, being that I'm Native American, and also being that I also served my country as a U.S. Navy veteran. I did serve two tours during wartime, during the Gulf War, and it really hit close to home because a lot of my family members that um, have served in the military, my great great grandfather, all the way down to my great grandfather, to my grandmother's brothers, they've all served during all major campaigns that had happened within the Americas and since the time of when we were colonized. So it really touches close to home, and I was really prideful of having that military background with family serving in every campaign since World War II. So I really showed my pride. I really put myself out there to really represent my service. And during that time when they were shooting these people with water cannons and rubber bullets, it really hit personal because I've served my time in the military to protect and serve the Constitution of the United States of America. It was a time where, we were really trying to, make a difference. to fight for our people, to fight for First Nations people as well, and just to be able to, know that, we're trying to preserve our culture, we're trying to preserve our language as well. And being that, I serve my country, I felt like, this was an important time for me to be a part of this. But during that time when Standing Rock happened, I I went to bed saddened. I went to bed feeling disappointed. Um, it was very emotional. It really, I just really wanted to break down and cry for my family, for my relatives out there in Standing Rock. And then, so I put some offering down that night with cedar. I burned some cedar and I put it down. And that night I had a dream. It was a vision that came to me. A I was walking in a field of grass that was so high I could feel my hands touching the grass as I was walking in the field. And within that field, I could see from a distance there was a herd of buffalo running across the field, across the plains, and I could hear the thundering sound of their hooves running across the field. And as I'm watching this buffalo herd run across the field, I could see from the distance that they were turning direction towards me. As they were turning that direction towards me, they started coming closer. At that moment in time in my dream, I felt like, that urgency to run, to try to get away. It would try to really, like, I was ready to run. So in that situation, there was something that told me to calm down and wait, to stand still. And it was a spirit that was communicating with me in that way. And I stood there with a lot of adrenaline, a lot of fear that, I thought I was going to be stomped, trampled by these buffalo. But just then the buffalo stopped their foot right in front of me. The bulls they just stopped right there in front of me. And you can see the breath on these bulls just breathing hard as if they were in a panicking situation. And then there was a woman that was wearing this buckskin dress with seashells all over herself. She stood up right in the middle of the herd like this. And I just felt the power, the strength of this woman. She was very prideful. She was very, divine in her own way. And as she stood up, she nodded her head like this and she said, "It's time." And when I woken up out of that dream, it was more of saddened. I was crying when I woke up. I woke up in tears. I was panicking and I was just like freaking out. Like, what was that dream about? So after that moment in time, I ended up trying to make sense of it all. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up and I just carried on. And then I started reaching out to my relatives, my elders, and I questioning what the dream was about. What was the interpretation? I wanted to figure out what that dream was about. And one of my grandfathers told me, he said, "What you dreamt about was a vision that came to you." He says, Creator works in mysterious ways. Creator calls upon people. Creator calls upon, messengers. Sometimes they utilize animals. Sometimes they utilize different spirits. And he says, I think what you dreamt about, I think it was the white buffalo calf woman. She was considered one of the great spirits of that tribe. And then he told me that maybe it's the Buffalo Nation. The Buffalo Nation is calling upon you. And he says, the more you resist, they're going to keep coming back, he says. They're going to keep coming back and they're going to reveal themselves in that spirit. So he says, the best way to deal with these situations is just to fulfill that vision, to fulfill whatever was brought to you, that message. So in that process, I was able to, instinctively act upon it. I felt like I served my country to protect and serve the people of the Americas against foreign and domestic enemies, and I felt like this was the time for me to reach out and call upon warriors out there too. So in this situation, we were able to reach out to the community for support. We were able to jump on the news feeds and everything, the news channels, and ask for that support. So with what we gained, we were able to take 2 charter buses out to Standing Rock. But in the process of it all, it happened so fast that, I was full of adrenaline. I was full of, the anxiety that was going through my body. I was getting little sleep. But the overwhelming power of that spirit, I consider the warrior spirit. So acting upon that warrior spirit, the awakening was what I was driving on, and being able to really pay attention to that warrior spirit, it really took me to the next level. So during that time, as we called upon all these warriors, all these veterans to call to action, we were able to take these veterans with us. So next thing you know, from that moment in time, from the dream, everything happened so fast, all the way up to where we were sitting on the bus. And I was calling upon, doing a roll call. And I remember Jennifer was a part of this, Jennifer Capo. She, was fortunate enough to be a part of the team, and I'm happy I was able to experience that journey with her. So I want to say thank you, Jennifer, as well. And we're still keeping in contact. But in the process of all this, thinking and reflecting back on the history of my people, the history of what the Americas is all about. And America is so new right now. It's amazing how history has gone, and being able to see, our people being hurt in that way in this day and age. We would have thought, we got over all the struggle. We got over all this, nonsense that shouldn't be happening. But then again, you have to realize, the world out there can be a sickening place too, because of the behavior of greed. Greed is what people, are always looking for something, the next best thing, So the struggle was really real during that time. And next thing you know, I was really reflecting back on the history of my people. We've been through a lot. We've been through so many different types of genocides and pain and struggle. It was really, really hitting close to home. So during that time when we were traveling on this bus, I was very prideful that, I was happy to have my brothers and sisters that have served during the military be a part of my team, and also be a part of this big Water is Life movement to travel. So during this time, we end up in Standing Rock. By the time we hit Standing Rock, we were already, I guess you could say, absorbed into the big movement with a lot of people there. There was thousands of people there. You didn't even need money to go through that process. So just being able to go from that point and enter that camp, everything changed from there, and we were fortunate enough to really experience that as well. And then during that time, as we were traveling, when I would fall asleep on the bus as well, I would dream of this woman again, this I consider her white buffalo calf woman. She was there to share her journey. She was share her message, and I was just feeding upon that message as well. So being able to feed on that type of energy, sometimes we really need to pay attention to what type of messages are brought upon us. Some of us are not really in tune at that spiritual level, but I'm a very spiritual person. I really practice my ways too. I try to get my offerings and my prayers out there. But for her to be able to continue to travel with us, I felt like that was the protection we had as well. Being able to go through that journey, there was many obstacles that we went through. We were able to arrive safely. We were able to be greeted with love and compassion and support. People were following us on social media. People were following us on the news feeds. They were, trying to ask, what else do we need out there? It was just all about the support and love that we had. And through that process, we were feeding off of this energy too. It seemed like each and every one of us had this type of energy of the warrior spirit. So during that time afterwards, maybe hours after we arrived in Standing Rock, the message came across from the president, denying the easement for the Dakota Access Pipeline to continue the work on the oil pipeline. So it was a really rough situation, but at the same time, it was good to hear that, because we didn't have to go to the extreme of fighting back where anyone got hurt. So in that process, I still believe that, even though the easement was denied, we were able to successfully be a part of that movement. And then my learning experience from that movement was that even though they continuously had issues where they attacked the camp and chased everyone out of that area, and they still ran pipes through the ground. A couple of months ago, they were talking about how, the tribe was, they won their case in court. So they still fulfilled, the success of fighting for their water rights, their way of life, and everything. And to this day, I see it as a positive experience, something that we kind of had our hands in, that we were able to contribute in that way. So what I learned from Standing Rock is I felt like some of us still have that fire that is lit within ourselves as well. We took a piece of Standing Rock, we took a piece of that fire from the Sacred Fire camp and kept it in our hearts, and we traveled, whatever direction we went all directions. And there was many people from all over the world that had came. They were a part of this movement, from the Maoris to the Japanese to the Aborigines to people from Russia. I mean, all over the place. People travel from all directions just to be a part of this big movement. But being able to go through that experience, we were able to take that piece of fire, and it's still lit within our hearts. And right now, to this day, I feel like, what did I learn through all that process? What did I gain through my experience having that vision of what I dreamt about? I've learned that, the awakening of the warrior spirit was something that really kept me moving, and to this day it keeps me going. I got a lot of relatives that I try to encourage. I got brothers and sisters that feed off of that fire too. They have the same energy that I carry. So just being able to be mindful of our strengths, being able to be in tune with our spirituality. Sometimes, those messages come across us, and we have to pay attention to those things. We're all related in so many different ways, from all directions of life, even down to, the animals. We have to pay our respects to those beings. There was an understanding that we had in the past with these animals. We as long as we took care of them, they were always going to provide for us. So that's something that I have learned through the process as well, is knowing that it's all about keeping the balance in life. We have to fall back to our original roots and ways of life, where everything has to become natural again. We have to be able to go back to natural law. Natural law is what teaches us. Once you become in tune with natural law, that's where all the goodness of the blessings come from. I feel like, going through that vision and that experience, the warrior spirit has really taught me a lot. It has really gave me an opportunity to see many different things in the world. to understand how the process of life is working, and how it should be going in that certain direction, taking care of ourselves. So through that experience, I come back home here in San Diego, and I'm working as a substance abuse counselor, and I'm also a suicide prevention counselor. I bring a lot of my work back to the community again. So one elder back in Standing Rock told me one time, he's like, you guys travel a long ways. We're thankful that you guys are here to be able to support us in this big movement. But what I want you guys to do in this world is whatever you learn, whatever you got from this experience, I want you to take it back to your home and help your community heal, help your community grow, help your community to be able to get back to the natural law. So through that experience, I'm able to provide that for my family, for my relatives, for my community, to try to serve the best way I can. Sometimes I have my shortcomings, but yet, I try to be able to pray about those things too, to rejuvenate that spirit. So as long as we continue to pay attention to our spirituality, as long as we're able to put our offerings down, we have to be a part of that natural law to move in sync with Mother Earth and Father Sky, and all the different things that happen within the universe. When we're able to pay attention to those things, we see the good changes happening after that. When we're mindful of all the living beings and all the trees and all the animals, if we're mindful of those situations like that, we're going to heal like that. And I think, this COVID-19 situation is really teaching the world a lesson. Mother Earth herself, she's healing in her own ways, because we're all social distancing and also being at home as well. So I feel like, during this time, she's having a break. She's being able to heal herself as well. So I just wanted to share that story to kind of touch up on different ways on how our relatives are able to pay attention to what's brought to them. For me, I'm well aware of that warrior spirit as well. And, I continue to feed off of it. So just being able to go through that experience, I have really learned a lot. Even to this day, I work as a project coordinator and a counselor too, trying to rebuild our American Indian Health Center back up again, trying to decolonize and still use medicine in the good ways that we're supposed to. So I just want to say thank you all, and I want to share a song with you that I have learned through the experience of my journey. I want to share this song during the journey to Standing Rock. I feel like, being able to go through that vision, I was able to be in sync and learn a song going through that process as well. So if you guys just could follow along and just maybe meditate with it. Maybe, close your eyes and just, listen to the tunes and listen to the words that are being sung, okay? Here goes. Hana, 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 na, 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 yo, mene we chone, heyano, hana. Weya naina, weya na heyano 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 hana. Mene we choni heyano hana. Weya naina, weya na heyana heyne yoa. Weya naina, weya na heyano hana. Mene we choni heyano hana. Weya naina, weya na heyana heyne yoa. Mene we choni heyano hana. Weya naina, weya na heyano hana. Weya naina, weya na heyano hana. Weya naina, weya na heyano hana. Where you know, no, where you know, hey, you know, oh no. Many we Johnny, hey, you know, oh no. Where you know, no, where you know, hey, you know, hey, no, you oh. I want to say thank you all for being there and listening to me during this time, sharing my personal story with this story and sound brought to you by Storystation and Cosmos Oasis. Thank you, Jennifer, for all the support that you're providing for the movement for the Balinese moms too. Also, to be able to, continue to do the good work that you're doing as well. I want to say thank you very much for allowing me to have this experience. And also, um, if you guys want to share the story too, you're more than welcome to. But I'm hoping that some of you guys are able to pick something out of that. Maybe there's a warrior spirit within yourselves as well. Hopefully, you guys are able to feed off of that too, and just be in tune with your spirituality and follow your heart, your mind, and your spirit. To be able to follow through. So I just want to say thank you all, and thank you again for allowing me to speak and share my story. Aho. Thank you.